All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back with the Monday breakdown here. I got my boy Ham, not Hoop. Hoop's not with me. It's going to be me and Ham. It's going to be the Ham and Nate show on Mondays here, breaking down the 12-game slate tonight for NBA. Ham, I'll bring you in right away. How you doing, man? How was your weekend? How was your NFL? How we looking?
Yeah, no, day's going good. It's like 70 degrees here in Tennessee. NFL was good. Had a bunch of shippers over here at SHIPIT Nation. I was fortunate enough to get a live final seat. So that's nice on FanDuel. So looking forward to tonight's NFL show. I listened to you and Tambo this morning, did the review show, which was awesome. Listened to the boys talk about the single game slate. Now here to talk some NBA with you. It's a 12-gamer. It's a lot of games. So let's we can get right into it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we're going to jump right in. But before we do, say hi to a couple people in the chat here. We've got Oki in the chat, Colin, Theo, everybody, Sean Sullivan dropping in. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton, keeps these shows for you, which we bring all these shows, each and every single one for all sports for free for you guys right here. Let's go ahead and do it. Ham, first game on the slate here. It's the San Antonio Spurs here. Versus the Indiana Pacers. Pacers obviously at home here. 8-point favorites. 239 is the total here. Pace up spot here for Indiana. What are you looking at in this game from an injury standpoint? I think we're still waiting on Keldon Johnson with the questionable tag there. But where are you looking?
Yeah, this game is going to be, or it should be high paced, and the Pacers actually have the highest team total on the slate. Spurs coming in about 10 points below them, but man, Wemby has looked phenomenal in his first couple games. Tonight, I'll be focusing on four players really. That's Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers, Miles Turner for the Pacers at the center position, Zach Collins, and then Wemby for the Spurs. Man, I don't know if you've seen Victor Wembanyama play this year, but he can just do so many different things: shoot threes, block shots. He's fun to watch. Those will be the four that I have the main interest in. And then, I think we're waiting, like you said, we're waiting on that last piece of news. So once we get that, we'll be certain to maybe adjust accordingly. But I think that's what I'm looking at for right now.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. I think this is definitely a game that you got to pay attention to. Obviously, this slate overall, there's a ton of news here. Obviously, NFL is going on. 12 games, there's a lot. There's 4 games that lock at 6 right at the first lock, and then there's 3 more games that lock within the 30 minutes, and then obviously you got a bunch there locking at 7. The majority rest of the slate locks at 7, and then obviously you got the lone game later that we'll talk on there in Denver. But from this standpoint, I think you're right there with Halliburton. Great projection, decent price here. Okay matchup, but again, it's a pace-up spot here for the Pacers overall. This game should be high-paced, back and forth. They're going to need Halliburton to do everything. He's kind of an all-encompassing guard there, can do it all, get all the peripherals, still knock down shots. So I do have interest in him. I actually like this spot quite a bit for Victor, Big Vic. He's been incredible all year. It's a great matchup for him. One of the best matchups on the slate for power forwards for wing. And on the other side, Jeremy Sochan as well. Same team at the point guard. I think it definitely helps if Keldon Johnson is ruled out as well for Sochan. Both the matchups for Victor and Sochan are very good. I'm not seeing a lot of ownership right now go to a guy like Sochan, sub 5% ownership on him at 6,100, and he will be running point in a great matchup. I mean, it's one of the best matchups in the league. Is point guards against these Indiana Pacers here. So Sochan, 6,100, Victor Wembanyama for me, and then Halliburton on the Pacers side I like a lot. Miles Turner, I think, is a safe play. He's going to get probably about 20-ish% ownership, give or take, on this slate at the center position, 6,900. But center is always a viable, tough position, right? You can only play 2 of them. Obviously, you got a loaded slate here, tons of centers on the slate, including Jokic there as the late night hammer. So think you could go to him. He's more of a safe play. Lacks a little bit of ceiling in my aspect here. So not a ton of interest personally. It's pretty much just Halliburton, Victor, and Sochan for me in this one. Let's jump into the next game here. We have Washington and Philly here. Philly at home, 11-point favorites, 229 is the total. Obviously, on talking about centers, right? You got Mr. Joel Embiid here against Washington. Where are you going in this one? What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, I feel like all season long in the short season that it's been, but this Washington team just flat out plays zero defense, especially at the small forward, point guard position. So give me Tyrese Maxey. I really like Tyrese. I mean, he's been getting up, playing a bunch of minutes, 35 plus minutes a night, shooting it, around 15 times a night. So give me Tyrese Maxey. Really like him tonight. And then really like Joel Embiid tonight. Washington hasn't been as terrible against centers as they have been against the other positions, but they also haven't faced some of the better centers in the game. So Maxey and Embiid, no surprise there is where I'll start with my Philadelphia exposure. And then on the other side, I mean, Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. I mean, that's who I have interest in the most. More Kuzma than Jordan Poole. What I like about Jordan Poole is that he can go off, for 40 any given night with the amount of shots that he shoots. If he gets hot, he may stay in a little bit longer. But the coach hasn't been playing him. Starters minutes. He logged 25, 20, and 28 minutes his last 3 games, which obviously at that price we want to see him get more. So he won't project very well in our projections. But if he gets hot, he can do the right things. I like Poole and Kuzma as bringbacks, and then Maxey and Embiid would be my favorite 2 in this game as a whole.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. DeAnthony Melton has a decent matchup here. He's got an okay projection, kind of in that mid-tier there. Not going to get a ton of ownership here. Don't love to play, but if you land as kind of a last piece there at 5,300, I think a guy like DeAnthony Melton, point guard, shooting guard, eligible there. Think he makes some sense. But Kyle Kuzma, I kind of like Kyle Kuzma here in this spot, 7,600. He's got a 32% usage rate over the last 5 games. He's gonna get the minutes. I wish he was playing over 30 minutes. He's averaging right around 28.5 or so, which is a little frightening on a 12-game slate. He is 7,600 here, but Kyle Kuzma is going to be needed in this game here, Hamwich, against Philly here. Philly obviously heavy favorites. Joel Embiid can definitely make a case to play him. He's going to get some ownership. And you mentioned it, right? Washington really hasn't seen a center like Joel Embiid here. Joel Embiid has had good success against this Washington team in years past. Obviously, things change, stuff like that. But Joel Embiid definitely can make the case as a spend-up center for him. I think I prefer, if I'm spending up at center, for a guy like Jokic personally. I just think Jokic at home is just basically a cheat code personally, is how I look at it. His stats at home versus on the road historically are much better. So Embiid, you can definitely make a case for him. But for me in this game, personally, I don't have a ton of interest outside of maybe a guy like as the last piece, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Kuzma, but pretty much 12-game slate, not a ton of interest in this one. Pretty widespread here, and 229 total, one of the lowest totals here. So not a ton of interest personally for me in this one. Got to give a shout out to our guy Keith here in the chat. He said, my wife is currently under the knife, sitting here watching this show. We appreciate you, Keith. Could be Travis, same thing. I'm tuning in here. Loves the show. Love that. Junior, what's up, man? Zim, how we doing? Some other guys tuning in the chat. So we appreciate that. Again, if you guys have not already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the drive for 5 here on this station. And once we do get there to 5,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a $600 $599 package for a yearly membership to SHIPIT Nation, which how much, if they haven't seen on Twitter, I don't know where they've been, because our screenshot threads that we've been posting from members of all shapes and sizes, whether you're a high stakes, you're mid stakes, you're a MME player, you're a single entry 3 max player. Everyone's been winning tons of money over here at the Nation. So absolutely love to see it. We're going to try and keep that rolling tonight. Speaking of it, we're rolling into this next game here, and got some news in this one. Obviously, Kyrie Irving and Luka here, Dallas, Orlando, both of those are questionable. Luka has been incredible to start the year. Had a down game there, but this is a close spread. It's only a 224 total here in this one. Luka's all the way up at 12K. Kyrie's all the way up at 9K here. Where are you looking in this game? Personally, I think I'm under on this game overall on a 12-game slate. Can't play anyone. Don't really have a ton of interest in anyone here, including Luka for me personally. But are you going somewhere else in this game?
Yeah, no, you said it. I mean, we got the news earlier today. Markelle Fultz is out, and then Wendell Carter Jr. is out. Both play for the Magic, so that'll bring some value guys into the fold. Anthony Black played 30 minutes as a point guard position last time out. I don't hate that. At 4,300, he can get you different a lot of places. And then I'm going to butcher his name, but this Goga Biatech guy, however you say that name, he played 26 minutes filling in for Carter Jr. last game at center position for the Magic. So I don't mind either one of those. And then the last piece on this Magic team is Paolo Banchero, obviously highly touted, rookie from last year. His minutes are in the 30s. With those two guys out, he's going to get more shots, more opportunities. So I don't mind Banchero there. And then obviously if Luka plays, I think you got to have some interest in Luka just based on he's a walking triple-double this year. He's going to shoot it 20-plus times a game, get rebounds, get assists. So I don't mind Luka against this Magic team as well.
Yeah, you'd mentioned it. Goga is an interesting play here. 4,700. The only issue is man, he's picking up. I mean, I'm seeing over 30% ownership on Goga here. It is a decent matchup, right? Centers against Dallas have done good. Mark Williams had good success. Obviously, Jokic, Vooch had good success. The only one that didn't really have a great success is Xavier Tillman there for Memphis. But even Ben Simmons, Zach Collins, those guys had pretty good success against this Dallas team. He's going to get thrusted into minutes. I think he's a fair cash play. And I think he's a fine GPP play, but just expect him to come with a lot of ownership in this game. Again, there is a lot of other places to go on this slate on the 12 game here. But yeah, these Orlando Magic definitely shorthanded here. You could see them get waxed, especially if Luka and Kyrie both play, but Dallas tends to play teams pretty close. So you could see this go back and forth. But personally, I don't have a ton of interest overall in this game. Not going to get up to 7,700 Banchero. I get the play, but I think you're kind of stretching on a 12 gamer here. But
so touch on Mo Wagner. Mo Wagner, yeah, I actually like his brother better than Mo. But any interest in either one of the Wagners?
Yeah. So let me just pull it up here. 1 second. Wagner.
Franz shot it 28 times last game against the Lakers 2 nights ago. I mean, he's obviously getting up additional shots, him and Banchero at $7,100. I don't hate Franz. Be interested to see what your take on him was. That's a pretty good price for somebody that's going to get used like that, but I'll see what.
Yeah. So the thing I'll say about Mo Wagner here is, number one, he's going to be significantly lower on than Goga. And number two, he has power forward eligibility, which is huge, right? Doesn't lock up a center spot like Goga does. But the only issue is the minutes concern, right? 19 minutes last game, 19 minutes the first game, or the game before that, 14 minutes. So his minutes is definitely not there, and he is 5,100. So he's not super cheap. He does need to get you there. He needs to be consistent. Like last game, he put 28 DraftKings points at 5,100 on a 12-game slate. That's probably not enough. I'm going to be honest with you. You really want to push for 6.5x roughly his salary. So you're looking at 35-ish DraftKings points you want to get from a guy like him. And I just think that's pretty thin on a 12-gamer personally for me, with him playing right around 20 minutes. So think Mo Wagner. I guess if in MME, GPP, 150 max, something like that, you could, as a pivot off of Goga there. I would definitely play him at the power forward position, not the center position. But personally, I probably do not get to a guy like him personally. Next game on the slate here, let's jump into we have the Golden State Warriors, Detroit Pistons here. Detroit at home, 225 total, 7-point spread here. What are you looking at this one? Obviously, you got Mr. Steph Curry up there at 10-2. Cade Cunningham, who's been pretty good. Klay Thompson, Chris Paul. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy to say, but no real interest in these Warriors. I mean, Steph is just a little bit too much for me. And this year, outside of Steph, I mean, it's really kind of been a committee thing, right? They scored 140 points, I think, on Friday night, and no one really got there. I mean, they had a bunch of guys scoring, 15 to 20 range. They, none of them were slate breakers. Good real life team, not the best DFS team, in my opinion. I would have a little bit more interest on the other side, actually. Jalen Duran being my favorite one, but you alluded to it a minute ago. I mean, this center position is just so loaded, always is. Theoretically, you can play two centers. I don't know if I'd go that route, but Jalen Duran would be my favorite one. Osauer Thompson, number 2. Caden Cunningham would be my third. 7-point dogs, so theoretically they're going to be playing catch up most of the night, which I like. Jacking threes, getting rebounds, those type of things. So I like these Pistons actually a little bit more than I like these Warriors. Also, the Warriors coming off their third game in 4 nights. Right, played and a back-to-back.
Yeah.
And on back-to-back. So I like these Pistons actually against the number, and I like them in DFS tonight.
Yeah, I think you got to make a case. Personally, I'm probably off this game. Personally, it's another 6 p.m. game. There's a lot of news later that we're waiting on here. Steph Curry does have a good matchup here, point guards against Detroit. But again, Steve Kerr is messing with the rotations here. Obviously, Curry's going to get Curry's minutes. It's Curry here, but these Warriors are definitely pretty hard to play overall with Kerr messing with rotations here. Jalen Duran has been very good all season long. I think you could take a flyer on him, but personally, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. You can't, again, 12-game slate. You can't play everyone. There's news we're waiting on. So personally, I'm kind of under on this game as well. I definitely prefer the Orlando shorthanded guys and the price points a little bit better than going to some of these Pistons. I see some talks on Sasser in the chat. I just don't think it's a slate for Marcus Sasser personally. 4,400 for him. I get it. But 30 minutes, I guess, right? 23 minutes, 30 minutes last game. He's 4,400. It's a fair matchup overall. I guess as a last piece, what's your take on Marcus Sasser there for you, Hamwich?
Yeah, just looking at him, looking at his numbers. I mean, he's got in the 30 DraftKings points his last 3 games, and his price has been elevated to kind of match that. I think at this price at 4,400, he's going to have to get into the 40s, right, to be on the winner. I don't hate it because he's one of these guys that doesn't have to score real life basketball points in order to help your DFS team. He gets steals, blocks, rebounds, assists, type of things. So I don't hate it. I'd have to take a deeper look into my teams that I'm building. At 4,400, I like Marcus Sasser, the player. It's just, can I get to him at 4,400? I might have a little bit more interest than you do, Nades, just because he can get there in a variety of different ways. But my concern would be your concern, and that is, can he get to 30 minutes in the game is what I would worry about.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely seen the minutes tick up the last game, but the 2 games before that, he's 23 minutes. So the minutes are definitely trending up here. And if this game does blow out, right, it is 11-point spread here, or 7-point spread, whatever. You could see him get a little extended run. So I guess 4,400 doesn't need a ton, like you mentioned, right? Doesn't need you to get 40 DraftKings points. If he goes out there and gets you 30, 35, like he's gotten the last 3 games, 31, 36, you'd probably be fine as a value play, and he's going to be low owned. So not a lot of people condensing on him there. So maybe you sold me, Zim, a little bit on Sasser there at 4,400 on DraftKings here. Let's jump into the next game here.
4,200. I thought I saw him at 4,400, but he's 4,400. Yeah, he's 4,400. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 44. But let's jump into the next game. Obviously, we got a lot of games to talk through. We're going to try and keep this as quick as possible here. It's the Brooklyn Nets, Milwaukee Bucks. My Milwaukee Bucks here. Bucks have been pretty brutal defensively. Obviously, Dame Lillard has been a scoring machine. Like they got him for scoring, especially in the playoffs, spread the court and stuff, but has definitely not helped their defense here in the regular season. 234 is the total, so pretty healthy total in this game. It's a pace-up spot here for Milwaukee. Are you getting to a guy like Giannis at just 10.6 here, which is a pretty cheap price point on him? Dame sitting at 9.2. You got Cam Thomas, who obviously Cam Thomas has been an absolute shooter for these Nets here. Where are you going in this one? It is a pretty heavy total here. Fairly close spread, obviously 6-point spread here, give or take. What are you looking at here? Milwaukee, Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm off the Greek Freak, man. He just hasn't done it this year. He has the upside, but I haven't seen it yet. His minutes up until last week have not been above, I think, like 31, 32. But he's just not putting up those type of scores that we're used to seeing at 10-6. He would have to get into the, I'd say, 60 to 70 range in order to be, a slate breaker and be a must-have. Against this Brooklyn team, I don't think I'm going to play him. I'd rather go to Dame on that side if I was going to play a buck. My favorite, and it's kind of weird saying this, but my favorite net tonight is Ben Simmons. Can beat you in a variety of different ways as well. He's a walking triple-double with, barely getting to 10 points. Spencer Dinwiddie looks like he's going to play. Cam Thomas is a shooter, but I would have the most interest in Dame, Ben Simmons, and then Cam Thomas, just based strictly on the amount of volume of shots that he's going to get up in this high-paced game. We should see a good back and forth, and I think Cam's going to shoot it 25-plus times tonight.
Yeah, no, I like a little Cam Thomas, Dame Lillard, Dame time, a little ping pong here. It's a great matchup for Dame here. Dame's going to chuck in this spot, I expect. It is a good matchup as well for Giannis, but you got a little salary discount here for Dame. And I see our guy Nguyen's kind of in my head here a little bit with, hey, Dame's going to crush in this spot. So it might be a little Dame time here tonight for me at 9,200 in this matchup. He's got a decent projection for us. Going to be super low owned. The thing about this game as a whole is going to be very low owned, and it is a pretty high total here. You could see it go back and forth. Like I said, the Bucks defense hasn't been as great. Still 234 total overall. So I think this game, right, is the third highest total on the slate, if I'm not mistaken, right? Bucks and Nets behind the Hawks and the Thunder, and then that Spurs Pacer game that we talked about early. So third highest total on the slate. Not seeing a lot of ownership go to anyone in this game here. So I do think this is definitely an interesting spot here. You talking Ben Simmons, man? Ben Simmons, 7K for Ben Simmons. I get it. He's been good, but he's got a tough matchup here dealing with Giannis and the boys. So I think I'd go more with like a ping pong here with the Cam Thomas, Dame Lillard talks personally for me. But if you have a take, like I said, they're both going to be low owned. This whole game as a whole is going to be low owned, go back and forth.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that they're all sub 10%. Everybody on the slate is sub 10%. They got a healthy 233, which is a clear, 8 to 10 points higher than most games. That's something to look at, Nades, is that it's that's that low owned, and it could be a 250 type spot tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Dame's gonna chuck, right? I mean, he's gonna play his 32 to 36 minutes in this spot against Brooklyn. I mean, 9,200. He could do it here. I like this game because, like I said, people aren't going to this game. It's not a Bucks homer take by any means. It's just the opportunity, right? The pace, the total, everything like that, and the ownership's not following. And it's 6:30, which I like, right? You can get your plays from this game, lock it in, pair it up with some of that San Antonio, Indiana game, and head over to NFL and get your NFL finalized. So I kind of like this game a little bit here. Personally for me. Next game on the slate here, Hamwich, we got the Lakers and we got the Miami Heat here in this one. Interesting game, 223, one of the lowest totals on the slate here. It's only a 1-point spread, though, in this one. Big questionable tag. We got Jimmy Butler questionable, Duncan Robinson questionable. Where are you looking in this game? Personally, I think this game is a fade. Anthony Davis is up to 9,900 now. He's been great. LeBron at 9,600. D. Russ kind of in that mid-tier. Tyler Herro, who's been very good this year, he's up to 8,100, though. And if Jimmy Butler's in there, it's tough to play 8,100 for Tyler Herro when Jimmy Butler's 8,300. But what are you looking at in this one, Lakers and the Heat?
I'm with you. You're Milwaukee boy. I think he's from Milwaukee anyway. Tyler Herro. Man, I watched that game. I think it was Friday night. He just does so much for this team. He's kind of taken over the alpha role, I feel like. I mean, it's always going to be Jimmy Butler's team, but Tyler Herro stepping up. If Butler sits, I think it's okay to play Herro at 8,100. I haven't seen in a couple hours any update on Butler, so obviously monitor that. He does have a Q tag right now. But you said it, this game, I think it's going to be like a defensive type slow down game, barely 220, I think 222, 223 total. Better spots for me, in my opinion. The only one I'd have interest in would be Tyler Hero if Butler sits, and then Anthony Davis on the Lakers side. But man, that's a steep price to pay.
Yeah, steep price to pay. I do think this in the regular season, I think this is Tyler Hero's offense spot. But when it comes playoff time, I mean, you get playoff Jimmy, right? So I think things are going to change if they do make the playoffs. But right now, it's the Tyler Hero show. And especially if Jimmy Butler's out, 8,100. I mean, this guy, 51, 43, 56, taking a ton of shot attempts, playing well, playing upper 30s minutes, low 40s here. You could see Tyler Hero do a little action in one of the lowest totals on the slate here. But it is expected to stay close. But outside of that, I mean, not super thrilled to play this game. Speaking of that game, we're jumping into another game here, which I'm not super thrilled about. It's the Clippers here. And I think our guy, right, is going to make his debut tonight for the Clippers, right? James Harden. Harden's back. So you got the four big dogs, right? Paul George, James Harden, Leonard, and Westbrook. Personally, for me, I'm going to stay clear of this spot. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach in this one, and this game's a complete fade for me. But do you see something I'm missing? The Clippers and the Knicks.
Oh, man, I can't wait till about 25 games in. Maybe not even take that long, where all four of those are just bitching at each other. Westbrook and Harden, they all want the ball. I mean, Harden, I couldn't think of a worse player to bring on your team when you have already, 2.5 superstars. Give me the Knicks tonight, man. They're gonna stomp this team. It just blows my mind that they got James Harden. But anyway, enough of that talk. Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle is gonna have a bounce back game. Your boy Kendrick Perkins he was giving it to him on Friday night. I think he kind of listens to that. Not necessarily, but I think he kind of plays within himself. Has a good game tonight. I think he passes a little bit more, rebounds, gets more involved that way. And then those points will come naturally. I think the Knicks win this game outright. Julius Randle would be kind of my favorite player in this game, but it's going to be a cross-off. I just can't wait to watch this implosion here in about 2 months.
Yeah, definitely those four. I would not be, as a GM, scratching my head saying, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's put Paul George, Harden, Leonard, and Westbrook all together on the same team here. All guys that need the ball and all have their interesting egos about them, right? So we'll see how that happens. But in terms of tonight's slate for DFS, which everyone's here for, complete fade for me in this one. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach, especially with the Clippers. There's just too many ball handlers that need the ball there. Pace down spot for both teams here. One of the lowest totals on the slate. 12 games, can't play them all. Got a couple games left. We got 5 games left to talk about halfway through, a little over halfway. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. And head over to SHIPITNation.com if you are not a member. Catch all of our core plays, slate plan, our ceiling rankings, our correlation tool, and all the NFL Showdown content for tonight. Obviously, we got a nice game tonight here in the Showdown streets, Hoop, Tambo, and Title. Broke down that Showdown show over on the Mayo Media Network. Head over there, drop them a subscription as well on YouTube and check that show out. We'll have all the content up, if not already up on the website for that. But let's talk about the first 7 p.m. game here. I'm looking at is the Utah and Chicago here. 223, another super low total here. 4-point spread in this one. Kind of a neutral pace spot for both teams. For this one, I mean, Zach LaVine, right? It's Zach LaVine continues to project well, continues to have a decent points per dollar. But man, it's just tough, right? When you got LaVine, Vooch, and DeRozan all in there, and then you got a guy like Kobe White who's getting minutes, getting usage. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to play any of these Bulls. Zach LaVine's definitely going to pop in optimizers a little bit. I'm seeing ownership flock to him as well. I'm seeing DeRozan get ownership here as well. And then on the other side, Jordan Clarkson has been incredible, but his price is rising. He's up to $6K now. And I'm seeing about 23 to 25% ownership on him. So there's some ownership coming to this game, and man, I'm not seeing it personally. I just hate playing these Bulls when all 3 of these big dogs are in play there. It's just they're all similar price. You don't know who's going to show up, and typically it's usually one and not the other 2 for me. But where are you going in this one? the Utah and Bulls here.
Yeah, I actually like this spot for Zach LaVine. I'm not a big believer in this Utah defense. And as long as the game stays close, Zach LaVine's going to play, just south of 40 minutes, call it 36 to 38 minutes. He's going to shoot it, 15 plus times. So I don't mind Zach LaVine in this spot, 4.5 point spread. So it's going to be a close game. I don't mind Vooch either. I mean, he's gotten, he's almost a guaranteed double-double. So you can go ahead and pencil that in. If he gets upwards of 15, 20 rebounds, then he can really pay off his tag. But Zach LaVine would be my favorite one. Vooch would be number 2. Kobe White would be good value. Kobe White, I saw it already. He's 5,200. He could pay that. He could pay that tag off fairly quickly. And on the other side, Jordan Clarkson for me, just simply based on the fact that as long as this game stays close, he's going to be in there. He's going to shoot it 15 plus times. Going to have a few assists. Going to get some rebounds. I think he can pay off his tag pretty easy. So it'd be Zach LaVine for sure. I really like Zach LaVine tonight. Vooch would be my number 2. Kobe White number 3, and then Jordan Clarkson on the other side for me.
Yeah, I want to address our guy Shark in the chat. We didn't say he needed to get 40. We said he doesn't need to get 40 like some of these other plays do at his price point. So I'm not sure there, but Shark, we definitely said Sasser, if he gets his 30 minutes or upwards of 30 minutes like he saw and was productive like he was the last 3 games, that's a solid value play that no one's really going to at his price point. We said he didn't need to get 40 points. That would be over almost 10x his salary. So that's definitely, if he hits that, I mean, you're definitely going to need him. So did want to address that.
Yeah. I think maybe what he was talking about is I did say if he hits 40, you're going to need him on the optimal, right? He doesn't have to get 40 to be productive. I would agree with that. So yeah, if he gets 40 and you don't have him, you can go ahead and shut that laptop down.
yeah. If he's dropping 40 as right away to start the slate off there at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern time, whatever time zone you're in. There's a good chance that, hey, you might want to work at a late swaps or head over and play the Showdown Streets, which our boy Hebrew Cheetah has you covered over here at SHIPIT Nation with Showdown content. But yeah, that's did want to address that. Zach LaVine, he does have a good matchup here. It's just, man, he's going to get ownership on the slate, and it's just tough, man. Like I said, you're basically flipping a coin between him and DeRozan. For me, obviously they're both going to play. They're both similar usage rate. Zach LaVine has a little bit higher usage rate, right around 31%. DeRozan's not far behind it at 26% on the season here. Zach LaVine has done well against Utah here in this same kind of matchup. And if he does get his upper 30s minutes like he's been seeing, obviously last game in Denver, he did not play his upper 30s, lost the rotation there. I got 31 versus his 38 or 36 that he typically gets. If he gets that, I think he's fine, but it's just tough for me personally on a 12-game slate to mess around with when all 3 of them are in there personally, but I get the play. One guy I do want to mention, Taylor Horton-Tucker. This guy's he's been fairly consistent here. Jordan Clarkson's price is now higher than him, $500. Horton-Tucker's still getting mid-20s to low 30s minutes here. He's been very productive the last 2 games. Could see a little ownership swap there going to a guy like Taylor Horton-Tucker at that same shooting guard position over Jordan Clarkson at about a fraction of the ownership. So did want to mention Taylor Horton-Tucker a little bit there. But, Ham, what we got to talk about it. It's the pivotal game of the night here. Atlanta, OKC, highest total on the slate here. SGA is questionable. That's obviously big news on this slate for guys like Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey. Where are you going in this one? Obviously, is it a Trae Young night? Is it a DeJounte Murray night? Where are you going? Highest total on the slate. Definitely a spot a lot of people want to come to. I've seen a lot of plays in this game getting ownership.
Yeah, Trae Young, I'll just go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Trae Young's my favorite play on the entire slate, especially over on FanDuel, where he's only 8,800. No, we mainly focus on DraftKings. I play a lot on FanDuel, so 8,800 on FanDuel. I think he's almost I'm not going to use the word, but I think you need to play him over there on FanDuel. That's a great price for him. And then Jalen Williams, that's Jalen with an E-N. I like him tonight for the OKC Thunder. I mean, we need to see what SGA is ultimately going to do. But if he's out, Jalen Williams goes skyrocketing up the board at 6,700. And then lastly, for the Hawks, I like Jalen Johnson for the Hawks. This man had 36 minutes his last time out against the Pelicans. I don't know if we'll see that again, but at 5,600, I do like him a lot. He's showing great value for his price per minute. So Trae Young for me, number one, especially on FanDuel. I think you need to play him over there. Jalen Johnson would be my second favorite Hawk, and then Jalen Williams for OKC. And then on Friday night, I cored Chet Holmgren. I really like Chet. I just think he can do so many different things. He's playing a bunch of minutes. I wish he'd be a little bit more aggressive with his offensive game. I think he can, get closer to 50 plus DraftKings points. But Chet Holmgren, I don't hate tonight either. I just think he can beat you in so many different ways. But those would be the four where I'm going to have most of my attention to. And like you said a minute ago, it obviously hinges on what kind of news we get with SGA.
Yeah, I mean, SGA is expected to play. Obviously, that can change. This game is at the 7 p.m. window, so an hour after lock time. He's expensive at 10-4, but with the questionable tag, he's going to get no ownership. And the ceiling that SGA has in a matchup that highest total on the slate, expected to go back and forth here. So obviously, if he plays, it lowers my interest in guys like Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey, some of those guys. If he's out, obviously that's a whole different scenario, but again, he's expected to play. So I definitely do think he is an interesting GPP play at no ownership at his price point as a spend up. DeJounte Murray continues to be underpriced here on DraftKings. It's going to come with a lot of ownership compared to Trae Young. Trae Young's projected to be sub 5% on DraftKings right now because, like I said, people are going to DeJounte Murray at 7,800 in basically the same matchup as Trae Young, and he's way cheaper than Trae Young is. So I like the Trae Young call there, especially in GPPs, because I think a lot of people just side with the mid tier there in DeJounte at 7,800 versus going all the way up to Trae Young here. I think Trae Young definitely gets a better spot too if SGA misses as well. But again, I'm expecting SGA to play. So I do have a ton of interest in Trae Young. Another guy I want to bring up, Jalen Johnson's been very good, very consistent. He's a very nice mid-tier play, 5,600. He's been good here. Again, it's the highest total on the slate. So I like a lot of these guys on the slate. My favorites are on this spot, My favorites, Trae Young. DeJounte Murray, I think, is kind of, if you don't have the salary to get up to Trae Young, I think you can definitely side with DeJounte Murray. Great matchup for him. He's underpriced as well in this spot. And then Jalen Johnson has been great here, and he's underpriced in my opinion as well. So in this game, a lot of the ownerships flock into the Atlanta side, and I think running it back with a guy like SGA or Jalen Williams, like you said, for OKC, Jalen, Jalen, right? A ton of Jalen Williams, right? We got a ton of Jalen's here in this spot. So obviously a great game to target, highest total on the slate. Ownership, a lot of ownerships flocking to the Atlanta side. And when that's the case, I like running it back on the other side, grabbing a piece like SGA or your boy Chet, right? You seem to be the Chet whisperer there. So definitely like that game.
I was going to say, we got a homecoming narrative too, Nades. I mean, if Trae Young is sub 2%, like we're seeing on Line Star, who we partner with, that's an amazing play. I mean, homecoming in the fact that Trae is a Boomer Sooner going back to the Oklahoma tonight in front of his former fans who cheered him on for, I think he was there for 1 year at Oklahoma. But hey, homecoming narrative, give me all of Trae Young, baby. I really like Trae Young tonight. Yeah,
Trae Young, sub 5% expected on DraftKings here. Great. And then, like I said, all these OK pieces, OKC side in the same game environment are all leverage plays because all the ownership is on the Atlanta side of this game outside of Trae Young, obviously. But the Jalen Johnson, the Capella's even getting a little ownership. DeAndre Hunter, Bogey is getting ownership. DeJounte Murray is going to be probably 20 to 25% owned on this slate here at his price point. So definitely an interesting game, and grabbing some of these OKC pieces as leverage to middle that ownership and get the same game environment. Kind of like a little back and forth there in this one. Next game on the slate here, we have the Celtics and the Timberwolves here. 224 total, another low total here. Pace down spot for both teams, kind of a defensive. Obviously, Boston's been, I think, the best defensive team in the NBA so far with the addition of Drew Holiday. I mean, very, very good defensive team there. You lose a guy like Marcus Smart, you pick up a guy like Drew Holiday who can do everything Marcus Smart can do, but do it better. The whole famous saying, right? I can do what anything you can do. I can do better kind of thing. That's exactly what Boston did with the addition of Drew Holiday there. So for this game, 12-game slate, I don't have a ton of interest in any of these plays. Nothing really looks good in this spot for me, but are you catching anything I'm missing in this one?
I am not. I was just thinking about how Marcus Smart probably wishes he was still in Beantown. Instead, Boston's maybe lost once and the Grizzlies haven't won a single game. But yeah, this game should be a defensive battle, if you will. One of the lowest totals. Derek White is confirmed out. I haven't seen, but I want to say that Al Horford has been starting in his position. I have not seen if that is the case tonight. But if anyone, it would be Jaylen Brown. I mean, at 7,900, he's tough to get to. I mean, Ant's going to shoot it a bunch, but he's 8,900, I believe. Can't play them all nades, like you always say. So this game would probably be, just looking at everything, it's going to be a cross-off for me. Try to get different elsewhere.
Yeah, one guy I do want to bring up is Al Horford because, man, I'm expecting Al Horford to be mega chalk in this slate at 4,800. And this is the number 1 and number 2 defensive teams in the league so far. 12-game slate. I mean, are you really wanting to sign up for a 35 to 40% owned Al Horford on this slate? Personally, for me in GPPs, I do not. So I did want to bring up that because Horford is going to get a lot of ownership on this slate. One of the highest owned players, if not the highest owned player projected as it stands right now on this slate. So I did want to mention him. I'm going to be fading Al Horford for sure in GPPs, but for cash games, definitely if I go over and check out titles, cash game stuff, I guarantee you Al Horford's in the cash score over there because 40% ownership in a pace down spot here as chalk doesn't sound enticing for me personally. So did want to mention that for the chat because right. Porzingis listed as questionable. If he is out, Horford's going to slide in there, pick up heavy ownership. But he's still got guys, right? He's still got Drew Holiday. He's still got Jaylen Brown in there. Jason Tatum's still in there. I mean, there's still other guys that are going to take – Al Horford's not going to come in and be the usage monster, right? So I'll take my chances.
About Pritchard, too. Zim was asking about Pritchard. I don't like Pritchard. He burned everybody the other night, and he's going to play – 20 minutes. I mean, it's going to have to be a blowout type of script, in my opinion, for Pritchard to get in there and kind of really, make some noise. I mean, 3,800, I guess you could, but no thanks for me. I just don't project him with playing more than 20 minutes unless it's a blowout. And I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. It's in Minnesota. We saw them beat the Nuggets at home. They had some motivation in that game for sure, but they have, a world champion contender coming to their house tonight. I think they're going to get up for this game. No, thank you for Pritchard for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a play, the slate. Like I said, I'd rather play a guy like Sasser at a little bit more expensive, right? $600 more at a similar position at this position there in a better game environment than this one. So I think it's the wrong slate. I think this game's a complete fade for me in GPPs, including chalky Al Horford. At the end of the day, it is still Al Horford just because Porzingis, if he sits, it's still Al Horford in a spot that it isn't a great game environment for GPPs and for DFS purposes. 2 games left. Last game here at 7 p.m. It's the Kings here and the Rockets. Looking at the total in this game, it is the lowest total on the slate at 218 here. Close spread, though. Pace down spot for both teams. Again, another spot that I'm not seeing a ton that I like personally. From an ownership standpoint, Dylan Brooks at 5,200 is picking up ownership, it looks like. And then Fred VanVleet for Houston at 7,500 looks to be getting some ownership on this slate. Talk about those two in particular, and then anyone on the Kings side that you have interest in here.
Nate, you may want to close your ears when you hear me say this name. Your boy Dylan Brooks. I like Dylan. I see you shaking your head. I like Dylan Brooks, man. The villain. Dylan the villain was absolutely lights out. They played this Kings team the last game, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at that stat line. 9 of 14, 26 real-life points, 42, almost 42 DK points. I like Dillon Brooks at 5,200. He can pay that off easily. No Fred VanVleet for me, but I do like Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith and Dillon would be my two that I like. They're going to play, in the 30s. So give me both of those guys. But, yeah, Dillon the Villain and Jabari would kind of be the extent of where I go in this game. Malik Monk, maybe. He's getting up there at 5,700. And I think Fox is confirmed out. I saw earlier. I wish Monk was playing obviously closer to 30 to 32 minutes, but he's playing, mid-20s. So no Monk. Just looking through the rest of them. Yeah, I'm off the Kings, but give me Dillon the Villain and Jabari, my two favorite Rockets in this game.
This guy says Dillon the Villain. I mean, imagine. I'd much rather go to a guy like Jalen Green for $1,200 more expensive in the same matchup at the same position, obviously at the shooting guard position, after he just came off a bad game in that same game, right, 2 nights ago, in the same matchup, at significantly lower ownership, like almost no ownership, with a way better player, right? Like Dillon Brooks. I mean, I see it in the chat, right? Jordan Newen says Ham must hate some money. Ham, maybe you need to go back to the FanDuel streets here. But this boy, I think everyone's clicking that game log and seeing the same thing. Oh my God, Dillon Brooks just put up 40 DraftKings points on the same matchup 2 nights ago. At the end of the day, it's still freaking Dillon Brooks, and I'm not spending up or signing up to play a chalky Dillon Brooks on a 12-game slate. I get it, right? Back-to-back 40-point DraftKings slates. If he gets that again, good chance that you're going to need him at 5,200. I'll take my chances. There's other plays that I like better. Talked about THT a little bit. Jordan Clarkson's a little bit more expensive at a similar position. There's plenty of other guys on this slate as well. Than playing a chalky Dillon Brooks. I think Dillon Brooks is a terrible basketball player. Personally, for myself, give me Jalen Green as a pivot there. Obviously, he's a little bit more expensive, but I think Jalen Green's a way better basketball player than Dillon Brooks. So I'll leave Dillon Brooks to you. I'll leave Dillon Brooks to all the other chalk slappies in the chat, the Cash Game boys. So how much? There you go. You can have them.
I know you'll take this bet. $25 straight up, just straight up DK points. I'll take Dillon. You take Jalen.
Done. Sold. I'll take
straight
that.
Up. All right.
Straight up DraftKings points. Give me Jalen Green over Dillon Brooks tonight.
I'm a heavy underdog. I get it. I'm a heavy underdog, but I'll even take.
It's 2023 and Dillon Brooks and Al Horford on a 12-game slate or chalk. Maybe I need to up the antes tonight in the NBA streets. And we'll head over here because
Al Horford. I can promise you that. No Al Horford for me, but Dillon Brooks. Oh yes, baby. Let's go.
If you want to make the Dusty Team of the Year, right? Just plug in Al Horford, plug in Dillon Brooks, plug in some of these other dust balls on this slate, and there you go. You got the 2023 November 6th dust show with the all chalk dusty boys on this slate. So, yeah, no Dillon Brooks for me. Give me Jalen Green in that game, much better. But let's head out to the last game of the slate here, Ham. It's all in good fun. But 221 total here. I talked about Jokic. Jokic at home each and every time he's on the slate. He's sub 12K as well. 11-6 for him. Jokic here against the Pelicans. Denver, 5-point favorites at home. Expected to be close. And I talk about it anytime Jokic is at home and getting low ownership, right around 10% ownership. Got to have interest in Big Yoke as the late night hammer personally. So I do like Yoke quite a bit in this game. But what else do you see in this game? The Pelicans and the Nuggets here.
Yeah, no, this is should be a good game. I mean, obviously CJ McCollum won't be participating in tonight's game, and Jokic is always great, especially at home. You said that on Friday during the show. But my favorite play of this game is actually going to be Brandon Ingram. No CJ McCollum, like I just mentioned. Brandon Ingram, $8,000, 800 less than Zion. Brandon Ingram's going to shoot it 25 plus times tonight. Missed a couple games, but now he's back. I really like Brandon Ingram tonight. Also like Dyson Daniels. You want to talk about 4,400? Let's go Dyson Daniels versus Sasser, right? I think those two guys both 4,400. Dyson Daniels in line to get the start, and he's like Sasser in the sense of he doesn't have to get 15 to 20 real life points to make his mark. He's going to do it with rebounds, assists, steals, those types of things. So Dyson Daniels and BI would be my two favorite. And then how can you not like Jokic? He's projects very well, great value. Like Jokic, my last one that I'll touch on, and I've played him a bunch this year, talking about not liking money, but Michael Porter Jr. Has been lights out his last two games, but he can do it in a variety of different ways, and he can hit a bunch of threes too, which is going to get you some extra points. So Michael Porter Jr. would be my second favorite nugget that I'm playing behind Jokic. But give me some BI, give me some Dyson Daniels. I really like this game, even though the total is not really high. I still like this game. I think it gets over the posted total tonight.
Yeah, Yoke has a good matchup here and is at home with no Jamal Murray, right? So they're going to probably run the offense a lot more through Yoke with no Murray. Obviously, they always run the offense through Yoke when you got him. I mean, the dude can do it all. But I like him a lot as a late night hammer. Like I said, sub 10% ownership expected on this. So do like him quite a bit. Michael Porter Jr. has a good matchup as well, especially he gets a little bit usage bump too with no Jamal Murray. So I have a little bit of interest in this game. It's not the greatest, flashiest total, but you got some injuries on both sides that make it right. Injuries and usage in NBA are huge, more than Vegas totals in my eyes. Minutes lead to production. Injuries cause other guys to get uptick in minutes, uptick in usage. So do have interest in those. And then Reggie Jackson, right? For another, you want to talk about another dusty name. Reggie Jackson at 5,500 with no Jamal Murray. Expecting him to play over 30 minutes, and he's just 5,500 at a point guard position as a late night hammer. So definitely some plays you can pull from this game as the late night hammer here. That's going to do it, though. That's all 12 games here. I'm sitting at about 55 minutes or so on the slate. How much? Any final thoughts, your final slate overview here on this one before we get on out of here?
Yeah, no, nothing here. I think to me it's pretty clear cut that you're going to want to focus on three games if you're stacking. Obviously, stacking's not 100% necessary, but we got three in the 230 plus. Everything else, I think you can get bits and pieces out of that game, but getting multiple pieces, I think is I personally don't think that's the way to go tonight. I'll be playing the ones that are higher point total with a couple pieces here and there. And absolutely your boy Dylan Brooks going to go for another 40 burger tonight. Love my guy. Tambo loves a fellow Canadian, so let's ride Dylan Brooks. I'll be $25 richer. I can guarantee you that when I wake up in the morning. Yeah,
this guy, Dylan Brooks. I mean, Dylan Brooks, Goga, Al Horford. I mean, you talk about these guys getting a ton of ownership. I will say from a roster construction standpoint, as kind of a final take here on DraftKings, it does look like the mid-tier kind of with your spend up kind of being in that 9K range, upper 8K range is kind of the optimal, if you will, the cash style chalk build. So anytime you're spending up for up in that top tier, right, with a guy like Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, SGA, like I talked about, Luka, if you want to go all the way up to 12K Luka, you're going to get on a different roster construction than what kind of optimizers and stuff are pushing, at least as it stands right now at 4 p.m. So did want to mention that. Obviously, you got guys like Goga, right, underpriced for his role, 4,700 that are slowing in their dust ball. Dylan Brooks, right, 5,200 after back-to-back 40-point games in a fair matchup here against the Kings. So did want to mention that. That's kind of why I like spending up, grabbing a guy like Yoke, because it gets you on a little different build. Because right now, kind of that mid-tier build is seeming to be that chalk build. So if you go with a spend up and then kind of another like second tier spend up, like that upper 8K range, low 9K range, I think you're going to get a different build than what the industry's and the field's going to get. So definitely a spot that I'll be looking to exploit here tonight. But that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA show here for Ship It Nation. Again, if you haven't hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Helps us out a ton. All of our content will be trickling in. Obviously, there's a lot of news on the slate. You're going to have to be around. But it is kind of nice after you got a lot of the good games locking early. So that is one nice thing about this slate outside of that Atlanta OKC game. But for Hamwich, I'm Nades. We're going to get on out of here. Good luck tonight in your contest. Hope to see those Ship It Nation logos at the top. Let's ship it.